So typically in Mods Weekly, I show you guys 3 or 4 mods that are typically highly edited. I go really in depth on all of them, and I do this because those were the best releases of the week, and typically they do have a lot of depth to them. Well, this week modding decided to take a different turn. Rather than just a few select extremely high quality mods, we got decent quality, but a lot of decent quality. So consider today's episode more of a rapid fire one. I'm going to be showing you a lot of mods and a lot of different things you could do with those mods, but in a noticeably more quick fashion than a normal episode. With that being said, if you guys enjoy the content, you can leave a like or a comment on the video. It helps with YouTube's internal rating system, so this might actually get posted to the recommended page or get recommended to other users. And even beyond that, if you guys want to buy some of the merch I do have available, you will have a link to that below also. With all that being said, let's just jump straight into the video. First up is the Wanderer's Trenchcoat. What this is going to add in is a new apparel item that you can use on either a male or female. The one thing that's either cool or kind of weird about this is it's one item, so there's nothing you could really customize or change about it as far as the overall appearance goes. If you like the look of this trench coat, you're just going to have to click one button to equip it and everything else that goes along with it. If you hate the look of this trench coat, well, you probably shouldn't download this. I personally think it looks really cool. It can fit a lot of different styles in Fallout 4, and even beyond that, one customization option that does exist is the ability to have different logos from a lot of different factions in the Fallout universe. Some of these in Fallout 4, some of them not. The power armor HUD in Fallout 4 by default is pretty much atrocious. There's a ton of mods that give you different options to overhaul and change this, but the one I'm showing you today is going to be power armor HoloHUD. This is going for a very minimalistic and kind of modern design on it. Everything instantly becomes flat rather than just the opacity being turned up, as well as there's a few minor changes to some of the fonts and things like that to make them look a bit more crisp and not as worn down. I'm actually quite a fan of this one. I've only toyed around with some of the other options out there, but out of the ones I've used, I definitely think this would be my favorite. So this mod's pretty interesting. Pack Attack is going to basically change the social or combat characteristics of the mongrel dogs in Fallout 4. So after installing this mod, there's going to be a pack mentality. These dogs are going to travel around in packs more so often and react based on their pack size and strength. So if there's a lot of high level dogs in the pack, a majority of them will just rush straight at you and attack you. Some of them maybe that are weaker will actually run away though and not immediately come straight at you. And even beyond all of that, if there is no real strong dogs and just a bunch of weak or low health dogs, they may avoid you altogether. This is all very dynamic, so if a pack of dogs attacks you and then a lot of them get injured or die, they will actually begin to become a bit more passive and maybe run away from you. It's a very interesting mod, it's an interesting change to the game, and I'd love to see more mods like this from this mod author affecting some of the other NPCs maybe, giving them distinctive combat styles. So the SMG in Fallout 4 is definitely not my favorite set of animations, and I would actually argue it is the single worst set of animations in Fallout 4 by default. Fortunately, Wardaddy has come to the rescue in giving us right-handed SMG animations. It's going to make it look like this instead of that old crappy version. I personally think this is a pretty noticeable improvement. Even beyond that, with the updated version of this mod, you can also have some caliber changes as well as change the all-around damage outputted by the SMG if you wish to do so. The Institute Power Armor by M150 was an awesome mod based off the concept art. As awesome as it was implemented in a fairly poor way where you kind of just climbed on top of a random roof to actually get it out of a box. Well, Institute Power Armor Redistributed is actually going to make it so it now appears within the Institute, meaning two things. First and foremost, you actually have to get access to the Institute to get access to this power armor, meaning you have to somewhat align with that faction. And even beyond that, it's just a bit more lore friendly than just being on a random roof. You may have also noticed the same Institute Power Armor looks a bit better. Well, the Institute Power Armor HD Retexture is going to, as you could probably guess, give you a retexture and large overhaul of this mod. The original variant did look pretty lackluster. Now, after installing this, it'll just look a bit better. I think using this and the redistribution mod in tandem really breathes a whole bunch of new life into this mod. A lot of people probably avoid it. It was never one of the most popular power armor mods, but I think using these two together can make it a real viable option. Alright, so this one's freaking awesome. The next one is called the Plunger G. What this is going to be is a new piece of equipment in Fallout 4 that fires a bunch of different plungers. The notable part about this though is everything you do fire does stick to its target. So if you hit an enemy or you hit an object, it will stick there because, you know, it's a plunger. So there's some basic ones like just a standard plunger as well as a spiked plunger and things like that, but then there's also explosive variants, which I personally have a ton of fun with. Within those explosive variants, there's two different types that are going to be an impact or a timed version. Putting a scope on this and using the time variant is more fun than I've had in Fallout 4 in a long time, because you could hypothetically snipe enemies with this, have the plunger stick to them, and then, well, they will, after a certain amount of time, blow up. Let me just say, I messed around with this way too long. I think I spent 20 to 30 minutes just taking down enemies because of how satisfying and enjoying it is. This is definitely worth a download, even if it's just to mess around with it for a little while. So we do have the scope, overlay, and reticles replacement. What this mod's going to do is make it so while you zoom in with those default ugly scopes in Fallout 4 now, you're going to have a much nicer and high quality looking overlay, as well as it's actually going to look like you're in a scope, not just black screen all throughout. This is one that I think visually will speak for itself. If you like what you're seeing on screen right now, you should probably download this. I personally still would prefer see-through combat scopes, but if you want to use the vanilla scopes, this is going to be a great option. It automatically applies to all the vanilla scopes as well as any mods that do use those scopes, so it's very functional in that way, and I personally really like it. I especially feel like it's useful when you do have drop off with some of your different pieces of equipment. You could really get a better judgment of how far above someone you should aim when using this mod as opposed to the vanilla option. Then we do have the release of the LSW. This is of course adding in the famous weapon from the previous Fallout, that being Fallout 2. I'm showing you guys a lot of work in progress pictures of this one. It's a good and usable weapon. It's definitely not the best or of the highest quality. It also is lore friendly, and of course, some people will have the nostalgia effect with this. There's a lot of different attachments, as well as it does feature custom animations and custom sounds. And all around, if you're looking for a new LMG or HMG, something of that type, this is going to be a great option for you to use in Fallout 4. So the Riot S is something that was very iconic in Fallout New Vegas. Obviously it didn't make its way into Fallout 4 until now. This is another one that's not necessarily the highest quality. It has a few different texture options, but they're all very similar, and largely what you see right now is what you get. But this thing is so satisfying to use. Having that large drum mag and just taking down a ton of enemies repeatedly, this is another one where I spent way too much time filming the B-roll for this. This is one that's going to be integrated into the leveled list, and for that reason, I would definitely say it's worth a download. This instantly brought me back to those Fallout New Vegas days. This was a ton of fun to use in that game, and it's equally fun to use in this game. And especially coupled with like bullet time as I'm using in the background, it really is a lot of fun and very satisfying. So that's pretty much going to wrap it up for this video. I would love to know in the comments down below, did you guys prefer this more brief style but covering way more mods? It's something I'll probably do occasionally when we do have weeks like this one, but I'd just love to hear some feedback from all of you about it. Even further, for today's Psych Fun Fact, what we're going to be looking at is actually something I've kind of learned recently. I'm taking a design class, and not like a graphic design class, but just the kind of psychological aspects of design, which is a huge part of design in general, whether it be designing the floor plans of casinos or actually designing functions in apps. Something interesting I learned is every time, or pretty much every time, something is changed within an interface that is fairly significant. Take for example the recent Snapchat change, or even when YouTube changes the look of the website. Whenever that happens, there's a 5 to 10% drop off in users. People simply don't like change, and when you actually get really used to using things for a while, not being able to do it as quickly or as efficiently as you could previously can be frustrating. That's why a lot of times companies will actually have to wait a few weeks or even a month to see if that change is actually bad, or everyone is just kind of initially annoyed. Because many times, if it's a good change, then over time the user base will go back up and hopefully higher than it was previously. One example of this that's a little old is actually GUIs. Before there was GUIs, everything was in like MS-DOS and command prompts and things like that. And rather than clicking a button on screen, you would have to type in, let's say, record over clicking the record button. Well, when they actually switched to GUIs, even though nowadays it's in everything, there was a lot of resistance because it was way less efficient. Everyone was used to typing in record, and now that you had to go and click a button, that reduced their efficiency in the immediate aftermath. But yeah, so we're just gonna wrap it up for this one. As always, again, I thank you guys for watching. I do hope you enjoyed, and I hope to see you all next time. Later.